Today we're going to talk about how to identify slope and y-intercept for each graph. How we're going to find the slope is we have 4 different steps. The first step is we connect the 2 dots on the graph by drawing a right triangle. Second step is to count the distance up or down. This is called the rise. The third step is to count the distance to the right. This is called the run. The fourth step is to put the 2 numbers together as a fraction. Rise over run. So here's our first example. So we're going to do the first step, which is to connect the 2 dots on the graph by drawing a right triangle. So we always start at the far left dot right here. And we want to end up making a line some way to get to this dot. So to make a right triangle, I have to go down a certain amount of spaces to get to where that next dot lines up with. So I went down 2 there. So that's 1, 2. Now I need to do my run, which is to the right. 1, 2. So now I need to do the last step, which is to put the 2 together. Rise is first, so the up or down. In this case, it's down, so it's a -2. And the run is to the right, so that would be a +2. Now, we can simplify this fraction. This fraction can simplify to a -1. That is our slope. Remember, slope can also equal m in our equation. Here's our second example. So we're going to do the first step, which is to connect the 2 dots on the graph by drawing the right triangle. We always want to start with the far left dot. So in this case, it's right here. That is the farthest to the left dot. Now we have to connect to the other dot. So let's trace our line. The first one is up or down because we have to do our rise first. So we can go up 1. Now we have to do our run, and that's to the right. So we run, and that would be 2. Now we have to do that last step, which is the fraction. So we do rise over run to get 1/2. That cannot be reduced, so that would be our slope for this graph. Remember, slope can also equal m. Now we're going to learn how to find the y-intercept. The first step is to highlight the y-axis. The second step, go down the y-axis and find the spot where the line crosses it. So here's our first example. So we're going to do the first step, which is highlight the y-axis. The y-axis is usually labeled, but if it's not, just remember it's the one that goes up and down. So let's highlight the y-axis. And now we need to do the second step. We're going to go down the y-axis and find the spot where that blue line crosses what we highlighted. So we start at the top and we go down. Right there is where it crosses. So now we have to count. We always start at the origin. That's where x and y axis meet, and that is 0, 0. So now we count up 1, 2, 3, 4. So our y-intercept is 4 here. Now the y-intercept can also equal b in our equation. Here's our second example. So the first thing, we highlight that y-axis. Remember, the y-axis goes up and down. So we highlight the y-axis. The next step is we're going to trace down the y-axis to find the spot where the line crosses it. So we are looking for that slanted blue line. So we're going to start at the top. We trace down until we hit that blue line. Then we make our point. Now we need to go back to the origin, which is 0, 0. And we have to count to see how many we have to go to get to that point. Here we are going down 1, 2. So since we went down, our answer would be a -2 for our y-intercept. And remember, your y-intercept will equal b. So here's our last example. So we're going to highlight the y-axis. Remember, it's up and down. Then we are going to start at the top of the y-axis, and we're going to trace down until we hit that slanted line. So we go down. There we hit the line. We make our point. Now we need to figure out our y-intercept. We do that by starting at the origin, and we go until we can count to the point. So here we're going up 1. So our y-intercept would be 1. Since we went up, it would be positive. Remember, the y-intercept can also equal b.